Phonetics and Phonology. Introduction. In this study section, you will examine the two main fields which are the concerns of the course, phonetics and phonology. These two fields are often confused by many as one or as very different from one another. It is good to note here that they are two fields of study that have a lot in common. Learning outcomes. When you study this section, you should be able to describe the following subfields of phonetics: articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, auditory phonetics. Define and use correctly the term phonology. Differentiate between phonetics and phonology. Phonetics. Phonetics is the scientific study of speech sounds. You may be wondering what this means. It simply means it is the study of the speech sounds utilized in human languages to represent meaning. Not all sounds have direct meaning. For instance, when you cough, you make a sound that does not have a direct meaning or relationship with speech. Of course, it signals illness, a bout of cold, or some other ailment, but it does not have a meaning of its own. However, phonetics is concerned with the study of real meaningful sounds, i.e., sounds that are produced in natural context. While studying phonetics, you need to know what constitutes individual sounds in languages. There are three subfields in phonetics. These are articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, auditory phonetics. 1. Articulatory phonetics. It studies the activities of the speaker in terms of what the speaker experiences in the course of producing the sounds of a language. When you speak your mother tongue or the English language, what happens to your organs of speech? How closely do they get together in the course of producing some sounds? What movement of air do you experience? What happens to your vocal cords in the process of producing the sound? Do they come together and vibrate when the air passes them? Or do they stay apart to allow a free movement of air? Articulation has to do with the movement and contact of the organs. For instance, P is produced with the two lips coming together and the vocal cord apart, such that there is no voicing. These are articulatory explanations. You should not forget that phonetics is concerned with how speech sounds result from air being somehow obstructed or modified within the vocal tract. Three processes are involved here. The three processes work together. We will only mention them here since we will still discuss them in details in later lectures. Let us start with the airstream process, which is the source of air used in making a sound. The phonation process, which has to do with the behavior of the vocal cords in the glottis during the production of such sound, and the articulatory process, which has to do with the modification of that flow of air in the vocal tract from the glottis to the lips and nose. Acoustic phonetics. Acoustic phonetics is a composite branch of physics and linguistics. It is actually regarded as a branch of science. You can therefore understand why it studies sounds based on its physical properties. It attends to the sound waves generated by speaking and their transmission through the air. You should also not forget that acoustic phonetics often involves the use of instruments such as spectrographs and the study of waveforms, pitch tracks, etc. It enables the calculation of frequency, duration, intensity, etc. By means of instruments, an advantage acoustic phonetics has over the other branches is that it is very objective. Therefore, acoustic descriptions are often more plausible than other forms of description, especially in research. Auditory phonetics. Auditory phonetics is the subfield of phonetics that deals with the physiological processes involved in the reception of speech. When a speaker speaks, a listener receives the sounds and interprets them as meaningful signals. While discussing articulatory phonetics, we were concerned with the physiological processes in the body of the speaker. The physiological processes in the body of the listener are the central focus of auditory phonetics. It studies sounds reception in the air, where sounds in the form of air pressures, fluctuations are converted to neural impulses. It covers adequate hearing ability, perception of the full range of frequencies contained within various speech sound, filtering out of irrelevant background, adjusting to speakers' idiosyncrasies, speaking habits peculiar to a speaker. It also deals with the decoding of the speech signal into meaningful elements and the association of identified elements with mental representations that bear meaning. Tip: the articulatory phonetician concerns himself with the one speaking. How does he produce the sounds? The acoustic phonetician concerns himself with the journey of the produced sounds through the air. The auditory phonetician concerns himself with the listener. How does he perceive the sounds? Experimental phonetics is another branch of general phonetics that we may need to know about. It is often not listed with the previous three we discussed because it covers the three in scope, and it is basically about experiments in the three subfields. It deals with the study of the sound and other human units using the experimental method. The scientific field of experimental phonetics cover articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, and auditory phonetics. It employs the method of investigation commonly used in other disciplines such as physics, physiology, psychology for measuring the physical and physiological dimensions of speech sounds and their perceptual characteristics. For instance, in acoustic phonetics, you will come in contact with sound spectrographs and speech synthesizers. Other methods include the use of X-ray, palatography, etc., which are all instruments of physiology that are used to study the actions of the vocal organs. Experimental phonetics gives more accurate descriptions of sounds as well as the central cerebral processes involved in speech production. Generally, phonetics is not language specific. It is a study that deals with all possible human sounds in their abstract and real forms. Unlike the counterpart, which we are going to study next, phonology. Phonology is the study of how sound pattern or form structures in particular human languages. For a mother tongue user, it is easy to know what sound pattern and how they do. Phonology, the study of patterns formed by speech sounds. He understands the possible sounds of his mother tongue, could produce them without being taught, and could say what syllable structures are possible or not possible in their language. He doesn't need to learn this. He just naturally knows it. However, a person speaking English as a second language will have to consciously learn the sounds and how they pattern because it does not have a native speaker's intuition. Phonologists also study the rules that govern how sounds behave in a particular language. When sounds are joined together or when they occur in particular environments, they are usually modified. They could lose some features or add some features which will make them slightly different from when they are produced in isolation. Sometimes, sounds get totally deleted or changed in certain contexts. For instance, the English language, our central concern here, has rules such as nasalization rule, homogenic nasal rule, vowel reduction rule, aspiration rule, etc. Difference between phonetics and phonology. Phonetics studies speech sounds scientifically, while phonology studies how sound form patterns in particular languages. Phonetics is a science, while phonology is in the humanities. Phonetics discovers, identifies, and describes the sounds that phonologists study their patterns in particular languages. Phonetics descriptions are general and applicable wherever the sounds are found, while phonological descriptions are usually language specific. Study section summary. In this study section, we explain phonetics to be the study of how speech sounds used in all human languages are produced, and phonology to be the study of the patterns formed by speech sound in a particular language. We identify the three subfields of phonetics to be articulatory phonetics, acoustic phonetics, and auditory phonetics. We also touched the subfield of experimental phonetics. Lastly, we differentiated the two fields of study and also highlighted their relatedness. End of study section 2. Thanks for listening.